Yay.
We'll do it live.
Yeah.
Live time.
I had to swap out the Halloween banner. Can't use that anymore.
We still have the notch, though, right?
Yeah, of course we do. That's never going away.
Very good.
Where's our
That's
notch?
Great. Oh, so the notch is when people subscribe. It pops up with their names.
I see.
Oh yeah. David missed our.
Yeah, David, it's in the podcast channel.
Yeah, it's
when people
fantastic.
give us money, a giant Pixel 3XL notch appears on the top of the screen, and their name like jiggles, and then it goes back up.
Neat.
It's excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
People seem to like it.
How did we do that?
Streamlabs.
Yeah.
The magic and power of Streamlabs.
Yeah, Streamlabs has widgets you can customize, and then they give you the URL for the frame, and then you just put that into OBS.
Oh, so we're activating it manually whenever we see somebody subscribe.
Oh no, it's
No,
automatic.
it's automatic.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
I know it's the future, right?
And it only took me like 10 minutes to set up. That's how awesome Streamlabs
It's amazing how I'm amazed by scripting when it does something dumb. Like, you could have the most advanced script in the universe and be like, all right, whatever. Wow, this script makes a stupid graphic happen on the channel when somebody like gives us fake money but turns into real money. Neat.
Yeah. All right.
The
So
future's great.
I guess we should get this party started.
yeah, sure.
All right. I guess I will go ahead. Well, welcome to the Android Police podcast. It is November 1st as we're doing this. I don't know why I'm saying the date. I'm just trying something new. I'm David Ruddick.
I'm Ryan Whitwam.
I'm Cody Toombs.
I'm Jordan Palmer.
And I'm Corbin Davenport.
And I'm Ryan Hagan. God damn it.
We almost had it.
Ryan is here.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
It's a full
stop
house
now?
tonight, and we're all very
Yeah, just-
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at all the icons on the bottom of the Hangouts call.
So many people. Did we social that we're live?
It's auto social except for Twitter, which I'll do now. Oh no, it
Ah.
goes on Twitter because the
Ah.
live stream's there.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we are live. If you are listening to us on YouTube, we do suggest you go over to Twitch to do that because that's where we're doing the chat now. We don't watch the YouTube chat anymore because the YouTube chat doesn't give us as much money, frankly.
Or as many emojis.
Yeah.
True.
100% less emojis.
Yeah. Also, super chat is lame. So this week on the show, we're going to talk. There's so many new phones, many new phones. It's October, and apparently October is the time of all the phones.
Yeah,
It's
not
also
October,
iPads
it's
and Macs.
You just said it was November 1st.
Okay, remember now, but no,
we just finished Phone-tober is what happened.
Yeah.
Phone-tober. Yes, which is just makes me want to throw up the moment I hear that word. So we'll start with the obvious, the OnePlus 6T, which was announced just a couple of days ago. And Ryan and Ryan have both been using the phone, as far as I understand. And
Yep.
Ryan published our review, and I'll just let them take it away.
So Ryan and I were actually down in New York for the event, which was pretty fun. And at the announcement, the company revealed that the OnePlus 6T would be, as we'd expected, as the leaks had revealed, basically just the OnePlus 6 done over again with a slightly different screen, much smaller notch, and no headphone jack. And one surprise that we hadn't seen leaks about was that there would be slightly improved camera performance. And it actually is pretty well improved, especially in low light circumstances. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than the OnePlus 6. I think it is probably similarly good to an LG camera now, which is impressive when you consider this phone starts at $550 and LG is still asking like $800 for its phones.
Yeah, that's like medium high praise.
Yeah, but
It's a decent camera now.
I mean, OnePlus has come a long way in the last couple of years. The camera used to be like, you would deal with it because it was so cheap, but it was a real bad situation. But now, I mean, I think it's entirely usable. Yeah, the low light performance is better this time, even though it's the identical, like exact same hardware. The software processing, it just has been tweaked.
I felt like with the 6, the camera in daylight situations was pretty passable. Wasn't great, but like totally okay. And it was at night wwhere they were really struggling.
And
So-
on a crop, as soon as you cropped it, it was all mush.
Yeah, it's like the low light on the 6T. It seems like they are controlling noise better. and like the overall brightness of the frame is still passable, and white balance is, I think, better. Sometimes I get like a weird, like it seems to get confused in certain low light situations, and I get like a color cast that I don't get with what I would consider to be a nicer smartphone camera. But like, I think as long as you're not super picky about image quality, you'll be fine with the cameras on this phone.
And as long as you don't crop.
Yeah. I mean, it does still do with like over sharpening thing and just like fuzzes out
Still
details.
doing the oil painting thing.
Yeah, which is, again, like LG does that probably worse than OnePlus does.
Dynamic range is a lot better too.
Yes. Yeah. So this phone also has an in-display fingerprint sensor. It's the first phone in the US with that feature.
I missed the big point, and it's pretty cool. Like it works fine, even though it doesn't necessarily add any unique functionality. It's without
but it's got to be slower than a hardware
slightly slow, not very much.
I don't detect like any difference compared to the OnePlus 6.
Oh, it's definitely slower, but it's still like sub-second, like sub-second, sub-half second. It's very fast.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Yeah, it is.
So what does it do for like when you bring up a banking app or something for fingerprint login?
So it lights up the icon on the screen to show you where the sensor is. So it works just fine. But so, I mean, I like using this because the location is a lot more comfortable than the front-facing sensor on a lot of phones. Like they put it down below the screen, and that's really, it's low and it's not super comfortable to like put your thumb down there. But when it's up on the screen, it's where the center dock icon is. If you have a navigation bar on your phone, it's in that location. That's a comfortable spot to set your thumb when you wake up a phone. I did notice that when I first started using it, I thought like, oh no, this is a disaster. It's really bad. Because I just couldn't get it to work like at all. It turns out it's because it's optical. If you smush your finger on the screen, you like distort your fingerprint a little bit, and it has trouble recognizing it. So I figured out that, as long when you train it and when you use it, you want to just sort of gently set your finger on that spot. And it for me, it recognizes it super quick. I'm very happy with how well it works.
Okay. I don't know. I've used it on the Vivo phone, and like the Vivo phone, granted, had a Snapdragon 6 series chip, but it's still a second generation optical sensor or whatever. And it was not good. I didn't like it. So I guess OnePlus has managed to make it betterer than Vivo did. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with the overall the functionality of the sensor, and I was worried about that.
At the briefing, they bent over backwards to refrain from saying what type of sensor was at all. I don't think they mentioned it during the event either. They never wanted to discuss the fact
you had to ask them to make sure it was optical.
Yeah, because they didn't want to talk about it.
Not like some weird like ultrasonic thing, but like, I mean, that was
As I understand, the ultrasonic ones, they're less reliable and they're much slower.
I read the opposite. The ultrasonic ones are much better, much faster.
I haven't seen that. But nobody's picked up those sensors. Not a single company.
That's true.
Yeah. One thing you like, I did notice like right away using the phone is when you touch the sensor, it shines this like bright green light up through the screen at your finger, and it makes the screen noticeably brighter in a dark room.
It comes up to max brightness when you do it.
Yeah, and that like the green, so like the green circle, there's a picture of it in the review, isn't like part of the UI. If you take a screenshot at that moment, there's no like green. Like this is entirely like a hardware thing.
And there's just barely, if you have like a really bright pinpoint light at a near 180-degree angle, you can just barely see the halo for the cutout where the fingerprint sensor is beneath the screen.
Yeah. I saw Ron's picture in his review on Ars Technica. That was kind of neat.
Ron's
really good with those macro hardware shots. He gets some cool stuff. That was pretty interesting.
We should hire him.
Yeah. So I think for me looking at it, it seems like the summary is, well, it's everything the OnePlus 6 was, and also the camera's better now, but so is the OnePlus 6 because it's getting this, this upgrade. So I feel like looking at the 6 and 6T, honestly, like if I could get a better deal on the 6, I don't know if I would get the 6T.
Yeah, you get
they're still selling
wrong with it.
Yeah.
And they're still selling the 6 on their website.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the 6 has
Well,
the headphone jack.
But
Well,
the
but-
base storage on the 6T is double
Yes,
for the same
it is.
price.
It's 128. Okay, but here's
Not for the same price. The base model is more expensive than the base model from last year.
yeah, but it's like $20.
Yeah.
Or well, not from earlier this year when the 6 came out.
Yeah, sorry, from earlier this year.
Okay, but the thing about this phone you have to remember is it works on Verizon now. Like the 6T has bands for Verizon.
Well, does it work on Verizon now?
It does.
We know that it's going to, but has anyone actually confirmed
I have
that
a Verizon SIM card in it, and it worked just fine. It made voice calls and got data, and everything was fine.
Cool, because they were so hesitant to give us
they wouldn't talk about it at the event, but they said like it is Verizon band compatible. Because
Wow.
the other side of this is that it's being sold on T-Mobile, and they were obviously really keen to focus on T-Mobile. It would have been kind of rude for them to be like, "Yay, T-Mobile! Also, you can use it on Verizon." So they
Band
just didn't talk
compatible
about
doesn't
Verizon.
mean jack. Like it still has to be. It has to be. Verizon uses whitelisting system.
Yeah.
So like if it's not actually certified by Verizon, that doesn't mean anything.
Well, so I mean,
I've gotten two to work on Verizon with voice, text, and data, so it's not a perfect system.
yeah, I mean, they haven't announced it officially, but from all of the reports leading up to this, it's Verizon certified. They just aren't like talking about it yet.
We
And
don't
the
know why.
certification is not official. Verizon's usually pretty quick to crow about that if a device is certified on their network. And I know like there are devices that should be band compatible. Actually, the OnePlus 6 should have several Verizon LTE bands.
It's missing 13.
Yeah, it's missing the main one.
Yeah, but it's still, I've used it before, and it connects to LTE for a brief second, and it kicks you right off.
I mean, that was my experience with the Razer Phone 2 when I put a Verizon SIM card in it before it was certified. Yeah. It worked for about a minute, and then the connection would die.
Yeah, Verizon blacklists phones that it knows are not compatible with the network.
But I mean, but thus far, I mean, I used a Verizon SIM in the 60 for about an hour, and it was fine.
Okay.
So it must actually be certified, and they just haven't said anything.
Yeah. I think that they're just trying to be polite to T-Mobile, because like it is a big deal for them to be selling this on T-Mobile, even though it is a less desirable version of the phone, to put it kindly.
Well,
So
less
what are the
desirable to
limitations?
enthusiasts, maybe.
Sure. Well, I
well-
mean, the people who have traditionally purchased a OnePlus phone, but I mean, even like if you're just a regular person, like it's still better to have an unlocked phone if you have, the choice, but obviously selling it on T-Mobile is easier. It makes it easier to get.
And when it comes to the specs, like objectively, you're talking single SIM versus dual SIM. There's nothing better about the T-Mobile version. In several regards, it is worse.
Yeah, I mean, it like the better part is you can buy it on a payment plan, and if you have an old OnePlus phone, like if you have a OnePlus One or a OnePlus X sitting in a drawer, that is worth $300 to T-Mobile. You can trade it in and like get a pretty good deal on it.
Yeah.
I wish Google would have that kind of a trade-in, because they'll only take $100 for my 2016 Pixel.
I got a G1 here. I'd be happy to trade in for a Pixel 3 XL.
Yeah, that's kind of my run. Yeah. Well, I think T-Mobile's offer is pretty compelling. My question is whether sales reps are going to push these things at all. I mean, it's nice that OnePlus essentially now has an installment plan in the US, but only on one carrier. So I mean, it's still a big deal.
I mean,
that they're on
T-Mobile seems kind of pleased with this deal. I'm not sure like what the business specifics are, but if you go to T-Mobile's website today, like right under the iPhone banner, they have a OnePlus 6T banner. So like,
yeah, I mean, I
that's
wonder
good.
how long it'll stay there, because it's a pre-order, so they want the pre-order commitments, of course, because
it's officially out today. Like, I guess it should be in most stores now.
Yeah. I think that for early on, they're going to push it more because they want to get a sense of demand so that they can gauge their orders later on. It's just a business tactic. I think later and then in store where we're going to, and T-Mobile's never going to give these numbers, so we won't know. I think that, sales reps in stores are pushing what the promos are on almost always, because there are incentives to push the promo devices. Also, what they can upsell accessories on. So if those OnePlus official accessories aren't in all the T-Mobile stores, there's less incentive to sell the OnePlus phone, because obviously they're not going to stock non-OnePlus branded OnePlus accessories.
Yeah, there are going to be almost none of those. But I mean, the
cash chart. You have to sell the official cases.
They said that they would have accessories in select stores on launch day, but they're going to have more of them supposedly soon. I mean, but like the OnePlus cases are like real good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're very good. And I have to wonder. I mean, that's obviously where OnePlus is making their money, and so T-Mobile, their whole draw is going to be, oh, we want to sell those accessories. So I'm sure the margins on like the dash chargers are insane because the dash charger is what, $40?
Yeah, they're
Something like that.
It's in
30, 40, yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there, which is still an insane amount of money for a charger, considering knowing how much they actually cost to make is completely.
I think a lot of their margins come from the accessories, which
course.
is why they're so apt to push them, and they do all these bundles, and it's a good thing they're worth it.
I mean, dash charge is definitely worth it from a speed perspective, but basically OnePlus gimps their phones to not work with any other charging standard, so you have to buy the dash charger.
Yeah. Although it's
OnePlus
not
totally
dash charge anymore. That's
Oh yeah, you can't
Remote.
say that or you'll get sued.
yeah. You'll get sued by Bragi or whatever that company was that tried to make headphones.
Yeah. I think this is a compelling phone. I think that it's interesting that T-Mobile is selling the 8GB RAM variant. I think that's probably because the margins are a smidge better than the 6GB RAM. So I think that's probably what makes sense. I'm guessing OnePlus gave T-Mobile a hell of a sweetie deal on bulk pricing for these.
Definitely.
Like there's no way that OnePlus is making money to start with on this T-Mobile deal. Maybe down the line. I think the goal is foot in the door, and also to make the other carriers jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the question still is if sales reps are going to push OnePlus phones at all, because that's always been the issue with these new launches, is that the sales reps, they're going to keep selling people Samsung phones and iPhones because that's what they know.
But I think OnePlus, they've relied on word of mouth pretty successfully to date. So I think they're going to get some traction on that account.
And I know what OnePlus was pushing things. It's not necessarily the best example, but we went to the T-Mobile store in Times Square while we were in New York just after the launch event to see when the doors opened and they first started selling them for the first time anywhere, what it was like. And they were pushing it pretty hard.
Well, they were like that. I mean, that was like the launch event. They were literally only pushing that. They had taken all the other phones out of the store.
That was all they had in the store.
I mean, that's still, it's effective. It's good press for them, obviously. And then, the word does get around because they're offering it for what, half off for everybody who bought it at that store or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet deal.
Wait, was it? It wasn't like half off just for lining up. It was half off if you traded in.
Oh yeah, sorry, half off for the trade-ins. No, not everybody who showed up. They gave the first like 2 or 3 people in the door though just phones for free.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
OnePlus is big on that hype machine. They're pretty good at it.
Yeah, there were people lined up still like hours later to buy the phone.
Yeah, until like 10 at night.
Well, I mean, you pick the largest city in the United States. Yeah, you can probably get a line to form. Like that's not a stretch.
And the time it takes to sign people up and go through all the contract stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever else. Yeah, it takes
of course
a while.
It's going to take a while. Like I switched to AT&T at a third party store, and it still took me I was probably in there for 20 minutes, and I knew what I wanted exactly as I wanted it when I walked in. So
yeah, actually, I don't think I've ever been out of a carrier store in under about 45, and I've always known what I wanted. They just always take that long.
They really do. They take a while. So yeah.
But yeah, this was a stunt. Like, it's a good stunt. There's nothing against them for it, but it is a stunt.
If they do some good promotions with like internal T-Mobile promotions, I know sometimes they do rewards for sales metrics. So people who sell a certain number of the phones might necessarily get a discount on one of them. If OnePlus is doing something like that with T-Mobile for the 6T, that could push the phone pretty well.
I would be curious to know that, and I might ask somebody I know who can answer that question for me.
Worth looking into.
Yeah, definitely, because that would be interesting to know. Because I know there are always incentives to push like the Samsung stuff, because that's what they want to move. So yeah, I think it's a big deal for OnePlus, though. Definitely, we've talked for years about how OnePlus needs to be on a carrier, needs to have some kind of installment plan, and they finally do in the U.S.
Yep.
So albeit with some limitations on the phone, but I think most people won't.
They're minor.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think the average person isn't going to give a damn about.
And outside the U.S., you have to remember, for those few people outside the U.S. listening to our podcast, dual SIM is completely irrelevant in America. Nobody cares. Nobody uses that feature. And I understand
have the one-off enterprise users that want to have their work SIM and their personal SIM in the same phone, but those are few and far between.
Apple just started offering that this year, which goes to show how important it is, which is to say not at all.
It's
Well,
not
it's not
in the US market.
It's not even like real dual SIM. It's the normal SIM and then an eSIM. And
Apple's version is also not
there's
complete.
there's issues I saw. You can't have Verizon as the secondary SIM, or it goes down to like 3G or something like that.
Yeah.
Or I think
Yeah,
it
that's
might
weird.
be the other way around. I'm not sure.
It's
Well, something like
usually
that's
actually.
usually-
So Verizon can't be the secondary SIM because it will only do the secondary roaming mode on Edge, and 30% of Verizon cell sites are no longer Edge compatible. So that's bit of a problem. But anyway, moving on. We have to plug ourselves, which is not sexual. It's actually about
says
Twitch.
you.
So we're now we're a Twitch affiliate, and so if you're listening on YouTube or SoundCloud or iTunes, we won't tell anybody. But if you're on one of those platforms, and also if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, basically if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you may not know this, and you don't know what Twitch is. Twitch is like a platform mostly for game streamers, but we're using it to stream our podcast now. So if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you get Twitch Prime benefits. And your main Twitch Prime benefit is the fact that you can subscribe to a channel for free, one channel. If you subscribe to the Android Police channel on Twitch, you can give us money. You don't actually have to pay any money. It just gives us money when you subscribe. Helps support the show. I believe I'm supposed to say supports the show, but really, I mean, it gives us money, which supports the show by allowing the show to happen. So if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, just search for Twitch Prime on your Amazon benefits and connect your Amazon Prime account to twitch.tv. And it's as simple as that. It's not that hard. You just have to log into Amazon on Twitch, basically, and then subscribe to our channel on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Android Police, right? That's the URL. Yeah. So go there and subscribe, and you will be helping us just by pressing a button. And if you're not using your free Twitch subscription, you lose absolutely nothing but maybe like 2 minutes of your time. And so we would greatly appreciate it. Also, you can catch us live on Twitch, and there are more emoji or whatever.
You get the Rhine emoji.
Yeah, you do get the Orion emoji. And when you give us money while we're streaming, a giant notch appears on the screen with your name on it.
Oh yeah, it's true. You can do that if you give us money during the stream. So if you give us, points or whatever, you will cause a giant notch to appear.
I don't think it works for the points. I don't think it works.
No. Really?
I don't have it set up for the points.
We could probably make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you actually donate to the channel, then
we probably have to set like a threshold.
We should set a threshold of like at least 10 points.
Yeah, so we don't just get one person doing one throughout the stream.
It would never go away.
Yeah.
I mean, would that be the worst thing?
Permanent notch.
If you own the phone, it never goes away. Right?
Notch, just like a pixel.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we actually end the podcast at that point for 20 minutes, and everybody has to go make nachos. It's a huge inconvenience. So use it wisely.
Also, if you subscribed in the past, it's good for a month, then you have to do it again. It does not auto renew. So if you're coming up on your month, please resubscribe.
Yes, resubscribe. If you are
click the
subscribing
button again.
Yeah, just click it again. Just go to our channel. Yeah,
still free. Same thing.
TLDR.
Same deal. Twitch just wants to know you're re-upping your interest in us, and as we know, you're always all interested in us. So not a problem. So moving on, we covered a story this week about the U.S. Copyright Office saying circumventing DRM to repair electronics, including phones and smart speakers, is now illegal, which is cool. It means you can publish all the instructions on how to do this, and you're no longer legally liable for anything because you publish the information, basically. It's not really protecting consumers. It's protecting the people who publish the information for consumers on how to do all this stuff and the necessary tools, which is what often gets DMCA'd.
Right. Oh, thank you, Carlo, for subscribing.
Did we get a notch? I didn't see the notch. I guess we
don't see it on our stream. They see it on their
Yeah, they see it on Twitch. So yeah, this was a pretty good win for the right to repair movement, which is, the group of people that are trying to make it more accessible to repair electronics and buy replacement parts and that kind of thing. There's the new ruling is very specific. So the new things you can legally circumvent DRM on to repair are phones, smart speakers, home appliances, smart home systems. So like Samsung Smart Home, that kind of thing, and motorized land vehicles. And actually, that's apparently probably the biggest news about this. Is everyone happy that they can fix their tractors? Because that was a
John Deere has been the dick about this whole thing.
Big Tractor has been very against this.
Big Tractor.
Nice.
So they wanted to a couple exceptions were not granted, unfortunately. So these representatives from iFixit and a couple other organizations, they also wanted the ability to repair home game consoles. That was not granted. Also, bypassing the copy protection on HDMI is still illegal, so still don't do that, or you're going to jail. So yeah, but overall, it's good, but it's not as good because companies can still put these roadblocks in place. It's just legal now to circumvent them if you're repairing. So Apple can still make it really difficult for you to fix your MacBook. You can just try your best to get around it, and Apple won't send the feds on you.
Yeah, nothing about this
And
means
thanks for subscribing, Jixidian. I feel like we have to thank everybody. It's helpful.
Yeah, we do.
We should. We should.
We have to tell them how handsome they are.
Thank you, Shane. I promise I'll give you your G1 back someday.
You don't have to give it back. It's okay.
I promised I would.
You're doing a favor if you don't.
So yeah, it's good news. It's a good step, but the main point of contention is that this isn't actually a law. This is just new rules from the U.S. Copyright Office, and new laws still kind of need to be made by Congress to cement this.
Yeah, this is a rulemaking procedure.
Yeah.
So these are just federal rules, which the U.S. Copyright Office actually has pretty broad authority on the interpretation of a lot of this stuff.
Every 3 years, the Librarian of Congress gets to decide on copyright exemptions.
Yeah.
I mean, in the past, they've let us do things like carrier unlock phones back before unlocked phones were really widely available.
Backing music.
Yeah. I mean, and now, now you can do. I see you can bypass DRM, but like Corbin said, nothing about this means that they can't keep coming up with like more and more annoying DRM. Like they could make it worse and harder to get around this stuff, and then they don't have to like sell you replacement parts or anything. Like if repairing your device requires like some piece of hardware that has embedded encryption or anything, like they don't have to sell you that thing. It could still be functionally impossible to repair your device.
Right. And that was another asterisk on this, is that it's still illegal for companies in the US to sell devices that aid in breaking DRM. So you'd still have to buy your repair equipment from East Europe or something. Yeah.
AliExpress for the win.
Yeah.
That's actually how they do like all of the like third-party car parts. You know, like there are all these cars that are aging out because their computers, you know, like are so old. And like one of the classic ways, I had a car that had this. One of the classic ways to obfuscate electronics in old cars was to just build the entire like PCB in epoxy. And so like it would just make it you couldn't like anyway, but China figured it out because of course they did. Like Bosch was famous for this, basically. Bosch and Mercedes and BMW, and so they figured out how to reverse engineer it in China. Eventually, go on AliExpress, you can buy like ECUs like $120 for 10 of them, versus like $1,800 because they don't make them anymore for the official part. So you know, like yeah, it goes to show that yeah, you know, when somebody can actually figure out how to reverse engineer it, this is hugely helpful because it's not illegal to have the part or to tell somebody how to get it anymore. But, you know, manufacturers can still make it as difficult as they damn well please to actually succeed in circumventing the DRM, which is a major bummer.
Yeah. Apple can still put a C4 in your MacBook that will activate when you try to open it.
Yeah. Apple actually, like, I think the MacBooks that came out earlier this year were the first ones where they removed the recovery port from the motherboard. So, like, if your board dies, there's no way to transfer the data off of it anymore.
They had like a JTAG for connecting to the SSD that's soldered on, and now there's nothing. So
yeah, they don't want you to fix your stuff, basically.
Yeah, you take it to the Apple store like a good Apple citizen,
and we give you a new Apple laptop. That is our repair policy if you're under warranty. A new refurbished Apple laptop.
Yeah,
like I wonder if they even do logic board replacements on half these computers anymore. If there's like, here's a new laptop.
Yeah, just chuck it out. It's dead.
The board is probably, I think they're like glued in 18 different places.
Yeah, exactly. It would be super hard to do that in store. Like it'd be a waste of time. Yeah, I do find that rather annoying about modern laptops, but that seems to be the way we're going.
Well, we have been for a while.
not to defend them on this, but let's be honest, most of their employees are completely unsuitable for doing those repairs anyway. So,
Oh, absolutely, I agree. I don't want somebody back there like gluing my laptop back together. No, thank you.
got the Elmer's glue.
No, totally. That does make sense. Moving on to the next big phone story of the week, the Red Hydrogen 1. So we reviewed it. Steven actually reviewed it. He's not on the show this evening, but Ryan and Ryan have gotten a little time with the phone. And I can say categorically that I've really had a lot of time to decide this phone's really dumb. You know?
Pretty much. I mean, people should read the review. It goes into much more detail than we could possibly give you. But like, man, it is just dumb.
Yeah, I've not seen one good thing said about this phone.
The battery's very big, I think, is the only thing anyone can say about it. Is it has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty chunky.
Yeah, I mean, and
well, so the phone's chunky.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike the hardware. I mean, I kind of like that it looks ridiculous. I like phones are kind of boring lately, and this phone looks, crazy. So that's kind of fun. But so it's like it's unfortunate. Like there's no way to like get across what the screen looks like in a review. But if you ever saw like an Evo 3D 5 years ago, it looks pretty similar to that, honestly. It's sort of like things sort of pop out of the display better than they did on those old like 3D phones. But I mean, it's nothing like magical. It's not like that demo that the Leia technology people put out some years ago, where they had like the map that popped up off of the screen and looked like a hologram. It is not that. The viewing angle in which it works is about 20, 30 degrees.
Oh, wow.
You have to look right at it.
Yeah.
That's actually my 3DS.
Well, it's kind of worse than the 3DS because it doesn't do, well, at least the new 3DS has the eye tracking and all that with a little camera. No. Yeah. So it's just within that window. And it kind of hurts your eyes. I had to sort of squint and cross my eyes to get the effect going, and it hurt.
Yeah, if your eyes are like slightly unfocused, it doesn't work like at all. And there's also there's this weird like dot pattern on the display. I think it's pretty subtle, and a lot of people won't notice it, but once it's pointed out to you, you can see the way it like breaks up fine lines and detail on the display. So it's I don't think it's a good trade-off, and like nothing works with it. Like there are like some demos on the phone. And like they'll have a couple of movies.
Well, actually, if you are one of the first 100,000 people to buy it on AT&T, they'll give you 3D copies of Fantastic Beasts and Ready Player One for you to enjoy on your 3D screen.
And those will probably be the only things you ever get.
Yeah.
And by the way, thanks to Jixidian for just tossing 100 bits at us. That was nice.
Ooh, we don't have a notch for you.
It's a bribe for your G1, and you're not getting it back.
Brian's actually going to go outside and bury it. He'll never find it. I think so. The thing about this phone is like, I think that from a marketing perspective, Red is a very aspirational brand, which is, so that's like somebody is saying in the comments here on Twitch, who was saying that, David Lama, saying that if you go on the Red forums, people are like just like tripping over themselves to justify the fact that they want this phone. Now, you have to remember, the average Red camera is like 15 grand to start, like just for the camera. And so these are aspirational products for people who love cameras and who like consider themselves serious, like, videophiles and who want to record, film. Usually it's filmmakers or amateur filmmakers. And obviously Red's really popular in the Hollywood, filmmaking scene. They're like the first really serious digital video camera. Like they're, very high end. And I mean, to say nothing wrong with their film products. In fact, their digital video products. In fact, they're really expensive. Which there's a great video by who did that? Was that Linus? Linus,
yeah,
great
Tech
video.
Tips.
Oh God, it was really good. I find them annoying sometimes, but that was a really good video. It was great. It was jaw dropping looking at the receipts for this gear. But anyway, you have all these lens and camera nerds, and I'm not like using that in a disparaging way. Like it's people who love, looking at, video and camera technology, and they look at Red as brand of like, oh my God, it's like, they're like the Ferrari of cameras. That's really what it is. They're hip, they're cool, they're new, and they're constantly innovating. And I mean, Red does great stuff with cameras. Most of these people probably can't afford Red cameras, but they like to learn about them, and they like to see, know what films they're used in, and learn about the technology and all the crazy modules and stuff. Like $1,500 for a battery pack. Oh, it's insane. but it's the nicest battery pack you'll ever buy. Yeah, so I get it. Like, it's like anything. It's like anything where hobbyists are really interested in the product. And then Red comes out and says, hey, we're going to make a phone. And it's $1,300. That's expensive, sure, but that's accessible to a far greater swath of consumers than their cameras are, of course, like way more accessible. And then Red says, hey, we're going to make modules for this thing. You're going to get like Red quality video and lenses on our phone. So of course you're going to have this group of people out there who have never been able to afford a Red product before. And they really want these accessories. They really want to believe that the camera system and the modules and everything, it's going to be a way to like do, you know, video file quality production in their pocket. And as we all know, the billions and billions and billions of dollars that go into smartphone development mean this is probably a load of bullshit. But these people really do want to believe that. And so, you know, I think it's going to be hard to dissuade them until it turns out that Red really can't make good on these module promises in the way they probably hype them, which I think is exactly how it's going to turn out. They'll probably come out with one or two, and I think they'll, at very best, be either highly impractical or just suck, just be really bad. And I think it just shows in all the reviews and everything we've seen about the phone that Red really has no idea what they're doing in terms of building a smartphone people actually want to use. They're going at it in that way that I think they went with cameras, which is say, we're not going to look at what everybody else does. We're going to do it our own way. We're going to do what we think is important. We're going to design the way we want to design it. And we're going to highlight the features that we think are cool and important. And we're going to use the technology we think is interesting. And it turns out that results in a pretty crappy phone no one should buy. Phones are one of those things that are so commoditized, and so we have such a good idea of how they're used and why we use them and what we use them for, that doing something different is generally a really bad idea. It means you're generally just making a worse product. Like, it's like nobody's looking at the laptop scene and going, you know, I wish somebody would do something really radically different with the laptop, like one with 3 screens that fold open. And maybe a keyboard that's fully mechanical with like an inch of travel. Like nobody's looking at that. Nobody cares.
Ryan wants that.
Yeah, no.
Ryan definitely wants that.
I would consider it maybe. Maybe. Now, you know, the thing is, like, the times when an established product category radically shifts are rare. Very, very seldom does somebody do something completely different with a product that we already all understand and it works. I mean, smartphones have been basically the same thing for the last 10 years. And they'll probably be like they are now for at least a while longer. It's going to take a very well considered and like a great improvement in technology before they really change. And just like slapping a 3D screen on a phone is just kind of a silly way to try and change the way phones work.
If they had been able to include one of their own sensors somehow, even if it's like a reduced resolution or something.
Phones are hard to build. Red makes cameras. They build their cameras. They did not build this phone. This phone was manufactured for them, like, to spec.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, they like, this does not have any Red hardware in it.
And that's the weirdest thing, is that, you know, everyone kind of expected this would at least be different from a camera perspective, and really it takes worse pictures than most other flagships.
Yep. I mean, so much about what matters in mobile photography is the software, and Red doesn't have the expertise to make that happen. Like, they make very good video sensors. Like, their camera technology is great, but smartphone cameras are a completely different animal.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I feel like on the smartphone side, there is huge room for improvement in video capture. That's actually it's a tough problem to solve, and it requires dedicated hardware generally on the, you know, on professional video side. Like, yeah, the you know, the hardware is so specific to what you're doing there. You know, even the iPhone, like the 4K video capture on the iPhone, like, you still see like stutter. Like, it's not great. It's definitely not smooth. And like, 4K 60 is hard.
And
hard
phones
to do.
get like hot when you record 4K video. They overheat. Like, some phones will literally tell you, sorry, I can't do this right now. I'm too hot.
Yeah. Like my Pixel 3, like, I recorded some 4K video on it. Like, it can barely play it back. It's clearly phones are not there on that front. Of course, it can record it, but like, the compression is so ridiculous and the bit rate's so crappy. Like, this isn't, you know, this is, yeah, sure, it's great for YouTube, but for somebody who wants to, you know, produce like pro-am content, it's not there. You know, you need something that is taking like raw data from the frame buffer
with
and
a
then
much higher bit rate. Yeah.
yeah, with a huge buffer on it and converting that on the fly into the format you want.
I mean,
you know,
you need to have like custom chips that are encoding and decoding this video to make it actually usable on the phone.
Yeah.
And that's not really something that Red is equipped to do in a phone.
No, so I have, for example, I have a Sony RX10. This camera's like 6 years old now. And it records 1080p 60. And that 1080p video looks twice as good as the 4K video my Pixel would ever shoot. Like, because the bit rate is so much higher and it's capturing it in such greater detail, and like, you know, just the focus and the color mapping and everything is so much better because the sensor is so much bigger and it's just designed to do this. So I think if Red's going to do something, they should make pro video module for this phone. But I don't know if the hardware in the phone's powerful enough to make that realistic. Like, what are you going to do? Like, build something that's basically like you're going to take one of Red's like external video codecs and put it in this module and a video sensor?
It's going to be like,
not practical.
It's going to be like the Game Boy player for the GameCube, where it's just a self-contained Game Boy. That's what it's going to be like. It'll be a module, but it's a completely self-contained Red camera that costs $10,000.
We talked about
you're old enough to know about that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that a bit in New York, because you can see the pogo pins on the back. That's not the widest bus in the world. So whatever they're going to do is going to have to be mostly on the shell that goes on the back.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be able to pass a whole lot of data through those pins. I don't know.
They're gonna make a projector module.
I don't know. I don't think the number of pins is indicative, because you look at the Essential phone and it's using, you know, high frequency Wi-Fi, and it can pass many gigabits through that interface. So I don't know the technical details
that's true.
of Red's interface, but yeah, I think we've talked enough about the Red phone. So it looks like in Google news, Google may finally be rebranding Project Fi to no longer being a project. It's just Google Fi now.
Wow.
At least that's what it sounds like.
That's what I accidentally call it all the time.
Yeah,
I call it Google Fi too.
Yeah, surprised it's
Probably should have been that name since the start.
Yeah, Project Fi was cute for like 6 months.
I feel like this confirms that Google's not going to kill Project Fi for now.
Well,
like,
yeah,
Project Fi's got like another lease for like another 3 years based on this development.
I hope it doesn't go away, because it is really great for international travel. That's all I really want it for.
That's all I want it for too. I'm just going to activate a Project Fi sim when I know I'm going on vacation from here on out, and I'm going to stay on a regular.
Best.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Fantastic.
That's what I do.
I just don't like the new logo. I like the old logo better.
I love the new logo.
AT&T's like, I want $10 a day for you to go anywhere outside America, and I'm like, screw you.
I mean, consider yourself
Project
lucky.
Fi subscription.
T-Mobile won't even take my money for international LTE, because my account type is too old. Like, I have to upgrade to their stupid one plans if I want that.
there are 5 different one plans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, this has kind of been over the past year or so. I think Google's been taking Project Fi really seriously. Like, I see ads for it on Twitter all the time, and they've been bumping up their promotion. Like, I've seen commercials for it, not on TV, but like on YouTube and that kind of thing.
They have more phones too.
Yeah.
Not like
So it's right,
but
it's no longer this weird beta product that's only available to one Nexus phone. It's actually a pretty well-rounded carrier, and their pricing is still iffy if you use more than 3 gigs of data, really.
Yeah.
And again, there's people that's perfect for. Like me, I usually don't use more than 3 or 4 gigs a month, and I like the flexibility. I don't really see them changing the price scheme anytime soon, though, because they did just do the, I think they called bill protection, where if you go over 5 or 6 gigs, then you don't pay anything extra. And it just slows you down when you get to like 15 or some astronomical number.
Astronomical 15.
So it's astronomical for me because I only use like 3 gigs.
So I think Fi is great for a certain type of subscriber. I think if you are the person who is either you're going from home to work constantly and you have Wi-Fi at both endpoints, the in between, you download your podcasts or you're not in the car very long, that's cool. for people who travel, for people who are, you know, streaming a lot on the go, it sucks. Like I've used Fi for the last like 4 months, and I am switching because I end up paying Google $75 or $85 a month for shit tier T-Mobile. Like it is the worst
Yeah,
T-Mobile.
you're basically you're on the deprioritized.
Yeah, you go. I go to
stuff.
DC and my signal, it's bad.
It's terrible. Project Fi on any congested area is absolute hot garbage.
Yeah.
Like, and T-Mobile sucks in the Bay Area, and I understand that. It's better in some places than here. I switched to AT&T. I got 100 megs down when I go outside. Like, it's not even close. And I'm paying AT&T $80 a month, and I get a free HBO Go subscription with that. For me, it's like, duh. So I think
if you walk into a convention hall, you don't immediately get no data.
yeah,
Yeah.
AT&T does have pretty good indoor coverage, generally speaking. So I think Fi is good for a certain class of consumer. I think the rebranding is honestly like it's a duh thing. I think it does confirm it's no longer a beta, basically. I feel like Project is just Google's name for beta now. They're no longer calling anything beta. It's Project.
Right. And I will say that, again, another reason why I really like Project Fi is because I live on the edge of civilization. So I get great speeds because I am never deprioritized ever.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think
I
for
love it.
certain people, it's going to make great sense. I think for people who, you know, and also the other thing is like I use the, you know, the Signal Spy app to like switch between T-Mobile and Sprint.
That's so handy.
And whenever I switch to Sprint, it's so much better, but it always wants to put me on T-Mobile because I'm guessing they get a better deal with T-Mobile for the data rates or whatever. I don't have US Cellular because West Coast, US Cellular doesn't exist out here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's supposed to learn which carriers are better in which areas. I never actually pay attention to what carrier I'm on unless I'm traveling. Like when I went to LA for E3, I had the app like constantly open. I remember like there was a part where we were underground, like in this parking lot for this convention center, waiting for something to open, and I'd have to switch carriers manually because even though I had zero signal, Fi never tried to switch to Sprint or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't. It never
does.
actually tries to switch on the fly.
Yeah, like I'll get the little animations sometimes where it's doing the dots and trying to switch carriers, but that's really buggy. Google still hasn't figured that out.
The one thing I will say, and we talked about, was the international roaming on Fi is great.
Yeah.
You know, some countries it actually is still HSPA only, I believe, but the vast majority, I think,
most
it's LTE.
most places it's LTE now.
It's
and
LTE.
full speed
yeah.
LTE.
Yeah, it
hold
is.
on
It's full
100
speed,
megabits.
just like a regular plan. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, AT&T and Verizon now both have huge roaming portfolios. The thing is, just their daily cost is dumb. They charge you $10 a day to roam in another country, unless it's Mexico or Canada. Both of them include that now. But yeah, anywhere else, $10 a day. Project Fi, by comparison, is dirt cheap. So it just makes more sense. And I get the sense that, you know, probably I would trust Fi. The only thing about Fi, it does take a long time to activate in a foreign country. It usually takes like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Kind of absurd. Whereas other carriers, it's like, bam.
It's faster if you know which carrier they use in the country you go to and you manually register to their network when you get there.
Yeah, I haven't tried that. Yeah.
But if you don't know, then you just have to wait.
So yeah, Project Fi getting new branding. Finally, we had a review on the site of this projector. Basically, it's a smart projector, but it doesn't actually seem very smart at all. Corbin reviewed it.
Yeah, so hold on. I've got it right here. I can do the show and tell.
What'd you bring for class today?
Okay. All right, so this is it. It's a very large, it's basically a home theater projector. It's pretty hefty. So Optima, they actually make real home theater projectors, a lot of them. And they made this with it's supposed to be unique for two different reasons. The first is that you're supposed to be able to control it with Alexa or Google Assistant. So you're supposed to be able to say, turn bedroom on, and the projector will just turn on, that seems cool. And the other unique feature is that it's supposed to run Android apps. So that's why we reviewed it, because we've done a few Android projectors. So the projector itself, like the image quality, is fantastic. It's 4K. It supports HDR, 3D, all the acronyms. It has them. The image quality is amazing. Yeah. Now the software is kind of a dumpster fire. It's Android 6.0, which is a little old, but most apps still support that, so it's not that big of a deal. The problem I discovered is that it doesn't actually have any DRM. It has no widevine. It has nothing. So the Netflix app that is on it maxes out at 480p on the 4K projector.
Wow.
So, and it's not running like any kind of like certified Android build. Like this is, if you want other apps, like you have to sideload them.
Yeah, so that's the other catch, is that this doesn't have the Play Store, and it doesn't have the sketchy Aptitude store that a lot of these other projectors have. That's just filled with like re-uploaded Android TV apps. This has Optima's App Store, which I counted has 9 apps right now. Which includes one app they made that's like a demo. It has a web wrapper for the YouTube TV, Netflix, and then like a handful of TV networks. That's it. There's no Hulu, there's no Amazon Video or HBO or Plex or Kodi or anything like that. And again, even if you went through all the effort to sideload it or put a different app store in it, like I tried to do Amazon App Store, but it was locked in portraits, I'd have to turn my head to use it. Even if you sideloaded an app, the video would be garbage because they all check for DRM to be present before they'll let you do HD streaming.
And this thing isn't cheap either. This is really expensive.
No, it's $1,600, but I'm under the assumption that that's pretty competitive for the projector stuff it has in it.
That's actually, I mean, for like cinemaphile projectors, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
So is that? I mean,
they go up to 3, 5, 10 grand depending on what you want.
You would connect some sort of external source to this, because you're not going to like watch the garbage Netflix app that it includes.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing, is like if the Android app support is so pointless that you're just going to connect a Chromecast or something in it. But then at that point, why bother with the Android at all? It's kind of silly. And the other main feature is the Google Assistant and Alexa stuff. And I tried that. It was so buggy. It kept saying the projector wasn't connected. And there's not like a Google category for projectors or TVs unless you have a Chromecast. So all the commands have to be done through the third-party assistant actions. So you have to do the tell Optima to do this. And then you can't do it all in one sentence, because every time I try that, it would kick me back and say, what's the name of the projector? Even though I said the name of the projector. And I'm supposed to talk to the product manager of this projector to explain to him that this is very buggy. But I mean, I know
conversation.
Yeah. I know I'm not the only one having issues, because the Alexa version, there's a couple negative reviews that say it's also buggy on there. So yeah, this is a weird, it's still competitive for the projector features. So I guess it would still make sense to buy this and then just never use the smart home or the Android app. But the parts of it that are interesting to us as the site named Android Police are completely bored. So yeah, you can, if you want, you can get this, but you're going to want to get a Chromecast Ultra to go with it, because the Android apps are useless.
Projectors are such a niche space, and I know that people with projectors will like sing the praises of how much better the video quality is, as long as you have like a nice wall and good, like a nice isolated dark room, and there's so much better than TV because blah 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 blah. But like, even then, these are a small market really overall. And I think that's what happens when you have these smart products that are really designed for a niche audience. I don't think the producer of this product really understands like how most smart home equipment performs in terms of not like, so a smart TV. that should really be their benchmark with this product. It shouldn't be other projectors. It should be how well does a smart TV work and how does it work? I'm guessing they benchmarked against their own industry, which is probably to say like that their standards are very low.
Yeah, and if the Assistant and the Alexa integration worked as promised, I could see it sort of working like a smart TV, but that's really buggy. And again, the Android apps are completely pointless. So I don't know. I mean, it's nice, but the two main advertised features are pointless. So yeah. I can't get over how nice it looks though. It's so bright. It's really fun watching movies on this.
All right. So with that, I think that about concludes the show this week, and we will catch you all next time.
Abrupt ending.
Good night, everyone. I know you like our abrupt endings.